Hello, my name's Don Ayres. I'm the Technical Manager for PASMA. That's the Prefabricated Access Suppliers and Manufacturers Association. PASMA delivers information, training and technical support for the use of mobile access towers. Mobile access towers are different to fixed scaffolding. They're modular in design, they're very quick to build and dismantle, and when fitted with caster wheels instead of base plates, they can be moved easily around in the workplace at different positions at different heights in difficult access areas. I'd like to spend a few minutes today talking about some of the issues we often get asked about. One of the most frequently asked questions is, how tall can you build a mobile access tower? Mobile towers are designed in accordance with the European standard EN 1004. Freestanding towers within the scope of that standard have platform heights between 2.5 and 8 metres when used outdoors and 2.5 and 12 metres when used indoors. They must be fitted with the correct size of stabiliser specified by the manufacturer or supplier, or with the right amount and correct type of ballast. A special note here, the old 3 times height to base ratio no longer works with the EN 1004 standard. You must use the stabilisers specified in the instruction manual, and remember, you cannot start to build or dismantle a tower unless you have a copy of that instruction manual. You can build towers above or below these heights outside the scope of EN 1004, but you'll need specific design and guidance from the manufacturer or supplier. It is possible to construct towers to much greater heights, but they must be built using advanced methods and specific designs, or tied in to rigid supportive structures. All PASMA members supply comprehensive instructions detailing the correct methods for constructing and dismantling mobile towers. These instructions will comply with current standards and incorporate the different fall protection measures recommended by PASMA in cooperation with the Health and Safety Executive. These methods ensure that an operative never stands on an unprotected platform from which they're at risk of a fall liable to cause a personal injury. Suppliers and users should ensure that copies of these instructions are available to the operatives erecting and using the tower, and also to the person supervising the work. The instructions contain schedules of components detailing the equipment you need to build the tower to the height you require. Before you start building, check that all the components are in good condition. Never be tempted to use damaged components, and make sure that you have all the components necessary. Never attempt to make up for any missing components using alternative parts such as scaffold tubes, couplers and boards. Follow any bracing patterns carefully, and always make sure that you fit the toe boards to the working platform. But before you start building the tower, you must check the site conditions. This includes looking at the surface on which the tower will stand or be moved over. Towers should only be erected and used on suitably stable and solid ground. Where the ground is soft, you'll need to create a strong and firm foundation using sole boards or other forms of decking of sufficient strength and dimensions to support the weight of the tower and the persons and materials on it. Remember, this applies equally to the ground where the stabilisers will rest. Depending on the applications and the conditions, use base plates instead of casters where appropriate. The adjustable legs, some people call them the jacks, at the bottom of the mobile towers serve only one purpose. They're for levelling the tower. They do not provide a means of gaining additional height. If you need to increase the height of the tower, then change the size of the frames accordingly. You do not just wind up the legs. What's the maximum you can extend the adjustable legs on a mobile tower? Think of it like this. The adjustable legs go down and not up. They go down to the level of the ground. So if you're using them for their correct purpose, levelling a tower, then at least one leg will always be on minimum extension. And remember, never stand on the tower guardrails or use ladders, steps, crates or piled up materials to gain extra working height. Mobile towers are not intended to provide a method of gaining access or egress to other levels. That means they're not intended to be stepped onto or off of, for example, to gain access to a roof or to another surface. To climb up and down the tower, you'll need to use the built-in vertical or inclined ladders or staircases, depending on the tower type. Always climb the tower on the inside, never on the outside, and never use an ordinary ladder leant up against the tower. We're often asked who needs to be trained to use mobile working towers. The work at height regulations require that any person working at height must be competent. The Advisory Committee on Work at Height Training, ACWAT, has defined a competent person as a person with sufficient professional or technical training and knowledge, actual experience and authority to enable them to 1. Carry out their assigned duties at the level of responsibility allocated to them. 2. Recognise potential hazards related to the work or equipment under consideration. 3. Detect any defects or omissions in that work or equipment. Recognise any implications for health and safety caused by those defects and omissions, and be able to specify a remedial action to mitigate those implications. Since assembling, altering, dismantling or working from a mobile access tower is working at height, the operative engaged in or assisting in the assembly, alteration, dismantling or using a mobile tower must be competent and must be able to meet these 3 criteria. It could be reasonably argued that any operative who only works on a mobile access tower once it has been assembled and inspected in its completed state need not be trained and competent in assembly, alteration and dismantling. However, such an operative would nevertheless be required to have training and demonstrate competence in the basic principles of work at height using mobile towers. Similarly, a person specifying the use of mobile towers will also need to be competent. And if a person is being trained, they must be trained by a competent instructor. A person who is trained as an operative, or indeed a supervisor, would not automatically be competent to train others, as they would neither have been trained nor assessed to deliver such training. Approved and audited PASMA training centres with PASMA trained instructors deliver the industry and regulator recognised PASMA training scheme. The scheme ensures suitable and measured competence through a range of PASMA courses. These include Work at Height Essentials, aimed at providing suitable competence to those operatives working on mobile towers but not assembling, altering or dismantling them. Low-level access course for equipment below 2.5 metres. Towers for users, aimed at giving full competence in assembling, altering, inspecting and dismantling mobile working towers. Towers for managers, to provide suitable levels of competence for those people specifying the use of mobile towers or supervising their use. And advanced towers, a course for providing those users who wish to build towers into non-standard configurations using special components such as bridges, facades, cantilevers or bird cages, with the additional skills to carry out this specialist work. Full details of all these courses and contact details for the 300 plus training centres where they're delivered can be obtained from the PASMA website at www.pasma.co.uk. I hope this information has been useful, but if you have any more questions relating to mobile towers, then please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you for listening.